Okay, so you want to land more clients, and there's probably so much information out there that's just stressing you out. Okay, so you probably looked at like how to make offers and stuff, and how to impress your clients and this and that. But I'm not just gonna show you like how to land clients, but I'm gonna show you like what is it that makes them say yes in the first place. Like not just how to do it, but what is the reasoning behind all of this? Like what does it do? What does everything do? Okay, and I want to start off with this. So all you need is a yes from a client. You just need them to say yes, I'll work with you, right? And then you need their money, okay? But people's insinuation is that you need to turn a no to a yes, which kind of makes sense. But that's not how it works. I want you to think of it like this instead. So this is your checkpoint, and this is all the way over here. This is a big meter, and then this is the yes, right? This is them saying yes. This is them saying no, right? So when a client is talking to you, whether you're outreaching to them or they've outreached to you, doesn't matter. This does not matter, okay? Because at the end of the day, no agreement has been made. Therefore, you're not getting paid yet, and they haven't said yes. So they're already starting off at no, right? Now, it's your job to get them from no to yes. And this goes for every single client, every single editor, every single condition, every single price, right? You could get a client to say, like you could talk to a client about working together if they pay you $100 per video, and they could say yes. You could get a client to pay you $1,000 a video, and they could say yes, but it'll only make it that much harder to get over there. Hell, you could get them to pay you $10,000 per video, and they could say yes, but it would only make it that much harder for them to say yes. You could get a client to pay you $100,000 and they'd say yes, but $100,000 is a big number, so it'll only make it that much harder for them to say yes, right? So what I'm saying is, the point is that there is no or yes. There is just a matter as to how much are they willing to do it? How much are they willing to say, yeah, cool, let's work together? Okay? Because there's a scale to all of this. And this scale, everybody has the scale, right? It's called temptation, right? So this is just called the scale of temptation, right? So they could be tempted to work with you, right? And our job is to get them from a hard no to a definite yes, right? Now, it doesn't have to be definite. Maybe there's somewhere in between where they say, okay, maybe, right? Or like this could be like our maybe point, right? In the middle, like a maybe, right? But the point is, like, ideally, in an ideal world, we want to get them to have confidence in us. So like even if we're in this zone, right? Even if we're in this zone between the maybe and the yes, and they say yes, let's work together, we still want them to have confidence in us. Because here's how this works. With all of this, with this entire scale of it's meant to say temptation, right? Temptation, right? There's a certain amount of things. There's a few things that I can think of off the top of my head that will get them to say yes to you. That makes them more likely to say yes to you, right? So first of all, we got to think about like why no? Why do they say no to us, right? Why do they reject us off the bat? Okay, what could possibly go wrong? Like worst case scenario, they have to pay us, which is like the first thing that they don't like, especially. Now this applies to every single client there is, and anybody who pays somebody or has an employee or pays for a service or pays for a product. Everybody who's willing, like thinking of making a business deal, right? They are going to have to think about the pay. right? Because they obviously can't splurge all the money in the world. Not everyone has like unlimited, nobody has an unlimited bank account, right? So we've got to think about how much we've got to pay. And if you're working with the lower tier clients, so the clients that are less experienced when it comes to YouTube, less experienced when it comes to working with editors or working with people in general, clients who haven't really ever hired an editor, those are going to be the hardest ones to land, because they've never paid anyone full stop. So for them, it's kind of scary to think of having to put your trust in a stranger and hoping that they can come through in this deal, right? It's scary. So first and foremost, we've got to think about the fact that they're going to have to pay us. And they don't like that idea, right? They like the idea of somebody, like in an ideal world, an editor who will work with them and be loyal to them and constantly get better and get them views and not have to work, for a single penny, right? In an ideal world, right? But this isn't an ideal world. We've got to get paid, okay? And they don't want to say yes just yet, right? So it's not about the fact that they're going to say no and no forever. We just got to get them to say yes a bit. They got to be comfortable with us and say yeah, right? So pay is the first thing. What else? Reliability is the second thing, right? So they need somebody who's reliable. And if you're not an editor who comes off as reliable, or if you're not a very experienced editor, then the first thing that's going to come to their head is this guy even reliable? Can I trust him? Is he even going to get the job done? Let alone not scam me? Okay? Reliability is the second thing, right? So, yeah, I spelled that right. It just looks a bit weird, right? So, they're trying to think, is this guy going to screw me over? And even if he doesn't screw me over, is he going to be able to get the job on time? Is he going to do it of quality? Is he gonna live up to my expectations? Is he somebody that I can rely on when he has a problem with something, an editing problem, or God knows what the problem is? Is he gonna come complain to me and make me fix it, or is he gonna do it himself? Okay, because if he can do it himself, that's somebody I can rely on. That's somebody who can solve their own problems. That's somebody who I don't have to babysit. They don't have to babysit their editors, right? They want you to be the man of the job, to be reliable, okay? So they're worried about reliability, okay? So we got to show them that we are reliable, okay? But I'll get into how to do that later. We're going to think of some other things that they might not, that makes them want to say no. Well, let's see. Worst case scenario, they overpay, the person's not reliable. I'd say scamming, but after a certain point in your career, people can realize you're not really a scammer, right? So what else? We've got high pay or just paying in general, right? Let's think of paying in general. Reliability, that kind of goes under delaying. That kind of goes under quality. That's up off the top of my head. That's all I can think of, and that's fine, because even if you think of something else, you're going to know exactly how to solve that yourself, right? After I show you how to solve these two, if you think of anything else that makes a client say no to you, you'll be able to figure that out for yourself, which is good, okay? So, they are sitting over here at the very no section, right? Because they're going to have to pay you, and they don't know if you're reliable. They don't know if you're going to come through in the job, right? We want them to say yes to us, right? So how do we do that? Well, there's a number of things that we can do to ease their pain, right? Ease their worries, to make them believe in us. And this is called this is called perception, right? Perception. So, in other words, kind of like branding, perception is a way to show people that we are worth the pay and we are reliable and whatever else you think of, right? This is how people perceive us. So, when it comes to perception, are we perceived as somebody who can get the job done? Are we perceived as somebody who's worth the money? Are we perceived as somebody who can get them the results? Right? So, I mean, like, in terms of more views, more subscribers, so we can write that down, right? Results. We need somebody who can help us grow. You know, we need an editor who can help us grow. So results. Results. Yep. Yeah. So perception. And there's a number of things that are gonna make us. There's a number of things that are gonna make them perceive us as somebody who is worth the money, reliable, and looks like they can get us the results. So, first of all, quality of work, right? So this is like, I'm gonna give you the most obvious one, and this is the one I'll talk about probably all the time. Quality of work. Quality. So first and foremost, if your work just looks bad, or if it doesn't look like if it's anything special, or if it doesn't look like it's anything remotely good, then immediately they're going to think that you're probably not worth the money and you're not going to be reliable, and overall you just look like a newbie who doesn't know what he's doing, or he's just too lazy, right? Because quality of work is the result of hard work. So the quality of your editing, how good you are at editing, goes to show how much time you've put into it. It goes to show how much you care about editing. It goes to show how much you care about your clients. Because if you're willing to go this much and get really good at editing, it must mean that you care about your job. If you're not somebody who's very good, then either you are new or you don't care. But either way, doesn't matter what it is, it just goes to show that you haven't put in enough work, right? So if you're new, if you've been like a week, if you've been editing for a week and you don't have like Mr. Beast level editing, that's fine. But that just shows inexperience. And inexperience is just another word for, you know, saying that you haven't put in enough work, which doesn't necessarily mean you're lazy. It just means that you're inexperienced, right? It's this big loop. So let's put this. So quality is simply just result of work ethic. Work ethic. So if you've been, so here's something that I want to tell you about. I've seen plenty of editors say that they've been working for like 11 years. They've been working for 8 years, 9 years, 7 years, right? I've seen these guys back when I was an editor of nearly 2 years, right? So when I was an editor of nearly 2 years, and these guys were between like 9 to like, oh, maybe you don't write that down. Between like 8 to 11 years, right? Everybody would generally think, oh, these guys must be the better editors, right? They must be the better editors because they have more experience. They've been in this game for 9 years at the maximum, longer than this guy. But that's never really been the case. Never. And here's why. Because it's all down to your quality of work. And before you start haranguing me for banging on about this, it's just result of work ethic. So let me put it into perspective for you. If I'm an editor of under 2 years and my work is simply better, right? My work simply just looks better and I get more results. That means that I've put in more work and I've put in more hardship into my editing career in under 2 years than these guys have for 8 to 11 years. So that means between the span of 8 to 11 years, these guys have been dicking around doing nothing and treating editing like it's part time, right? So if they're being schooled, if they're like literally, if they're not perceived as good as somebody who's been doing it for under 2 years, then that means the person who's been doing it for under 2 years has simply put in more work. They have more work ethic, right? Which is why quality of work is so important, right? It's so important. So when somebody's looking at your work when they're thinking if you're good or not, what they're really trying to know is, how hard is this kid gonna work? Like, am I certain that this guy's gonna put his like fucking all into this? Or is he gonna be like one of those guys who ends up doing this for 11 years and gets fuck all results because he can't be bothered to put in enough work, right? So think about the kind of editor you want to be. Do you want to be those guys who reach out to huge creators with 11 years of experience, but don't really put in enough work ethic into their, into their careers? Or do you want to be that guy who comes onto the scene and shows that you can outwork any other editor and improve faster than any other editor because you want it? And I'm hoping you picked the second one, because if you did, that shows that you're in it to win it, right? It means that you want to work harder to get better quality work, right? So the way of showing our work ethic isn't by telling people, I can get you results, I can get you views, I can do X, Y, Z for you. Telling people is one thing, right? Have you ever heard people say like, I do my talking on the field, or I do my talking on the pitch, right? It simply just means that I don't need to tell you that I do the work. I don't tell you that I'm gonna get you the views, bro. Please just believe me. I'll edit any videos you want, right? Because simply, if your work is good enough, that just goes to show that you've already done the hard work, and you're not gonna stop now, right? So, if your work is simply good enough, that means that you've put in enough hard work prior to this, right? So if I was to hire somebody out of these two, I'm not going to pick between experience, right? Because you can have all the experience you want. But at the end of the day, quality is what shows the levels of hard work, right? This is how we translate it. So instead of telling people, we show it to them. We show it to them through work quality, right? So now, when a client has to pick between these two editors, who's he going to pick? He's going to pick this person. And if you didn't know that by now, then you weren't listening. Okay? So he's going to pick this guy because his work quality is now reducing his it's changing his perception of this editor. So he's going from no, like a hard no, to maybe somewhere over here. Okay, kid. Cool. You showed me that you can do some pretty decent work, right? Your work is good, which means you're definitely outworking these bums who've been doing it for like 10 years and hardly charge a lot. Because realistically, if you have experience, if you have like 10 years of experience and you're charging like a couple $100 per video, then it goes that you've obviously gone wrong somewhere, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with charging a couple $100 per video, but if you're still doing it after this much experience, then you're obviously slacking off, and you're not willing to put in that work. I know some editors that I'm not going to name, but there's a lot of editors who have been doing editing for years, and they've always gotten better and better and better and landed bigger and bigger clients and getting paid more and more and more. And they have a friend group, and there's one editor that there's an editor that often gets clowned because he doesn't do enough, right? And when he always says like, oh, guys, I have a problem with my editing software, I have a problem with this or that, or how do I know if a client is this, or help me land this client. And people are like, why are you landing clients that are so far below standard, right? And he's like, oh, because I don't know how to land bigger clients. It's like, bro, you've been doing this for years. You've been doing this for like 5-6 years. What the fuck are you doing? What do you mean you don't know how to land these clients? What do you mean you don't know? All these years of experience, and you haven't learned anything because he doesn't put in that work, bro. Right? So now that's not to pressure you into saying like, oh, time's ticking, better start working and showing off. But all I'm saying is that every single time that you realize you're not going to put in the amount of work, it adds up to the result of this. So believe me, editing is very, very easy. Right? I don't doubt that anybody watching this can, end up successful, but if you don't put in the work and you keep doing this for years on end, you're going to end up like these people who try to outreach the big creators who have like beyond sloppy editing. And they've been doing this for like 10 years. And eventually, like, if they don't start improving soon, they're just going to show that they've done nothing for their work, right? They have nothing to show for it. So we've gone over quality, right? Quality, because quality shows our work ethic, right? Now, what else is there? Well, we have... This one's going to be a big one, so I'm going to save it for later. I'm going to go for portfolio details. Right, so portfolio. Now, why do we have portfolios? Does anybody know? Well, no one can answer me, but the reason that we have portfolios is for the simple reason to show people, to show creators that we've edited before. That's it. All we need to do is show people that we've edited before, right? So then why do we change our portfolio? Well, we obviously want to show the clients that we've gotten better at our work. Okay, so now we've gone from the simple proof. So instead of going for like proof of work, which is what you usually do when you start off, right? When you start off, you just want to show people that you've edited before, which clearly means that you can be trusted, right? So we've gone from the simple proof of work to the proof of status. What do I mean by status? Do I mean branding? Kind of, but not really. So when you start improving as an editor, your portfolio, I like, just to put it simply, I need you to think outside of editing terms. Like, what is a portfolio? It's just, I'll show you right now, right? Portfolio. Oh, wait. Portfolio definition, right? Nope. Range of investments held by a person or organization, right? Oh, so there's a lot of different things, right? So services offered by an organization, investment. So a range of X, blah, 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 blah. All right, there we go. Denoting engaged in employment pattern, which involves a succession of short-term contracts, right? Okay, there's a lot of stuff here. But what you need to know is that a portfolio is simply just a variety, in our case, I'm going to put it into our words as an editor, a variety of videos to show where you are, what you've accomplished, and what you can do, right? So when you write down your client list, it's not just, think about why you put down your client list on your portfolio. Do you know why you do that? Because if you don't, let me explain to you, and I'll explain every other reason why you'd have everything else on a portfolio. Okay? The reason why we have client lists is because we want to show our status, right? Proof of status. So after we've picked up our first 5 clients or something like that, first few clients, we're gonna notice a pattern. So they can be within the range of like 10 to 100,000 subscribers. Okay, so now let's say we have 5 of these, right? We have 5 of these clients, which now goes to show that our status as an editor, our skill as an, sorry for the glaring sun, our status as an editor, where we are, our experience, our point in our career is that we're working with people between here and here. So it is less likely, it's not impossible, it is less likely for us to be approached by somebody with 10 million subscribers or 1 million subscribers or, so-and-so, right? So people with 10 to 100,000 subscribers are more likely to DM you because it's proof that you've worked with other creators in their sort of I guess, point of growth, right? So you work with other people kind of similar size as them in terms of like how big their channel is. Okay? So this is your sort of status. So for example, with me, you can see 4 million, 1 million, 9 million, 3 million, 7 million, and then 6 million and so on, right? So with me, the common pattern between all of my clients isn't their niche, isn't their type of content, right? Isn't whether they're short form or long form, okay? It is their subscriber count. They are all at least 1 or at least 3 million or something like that, right? In subscribers. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for somebody in a specific niche. I'm not looking for somebody to give me long or short form. I'm looking for bigger clients. So I'm going to put the minimum of 1 million or minimum of 3 million or whatever I put down. Okay? That's the sort of status I'm looking for. That's the status of creator that I'm inviting, I'm welcoming, right? So when you put down your client list, you want to keep in mind, what am I looking for in a client, right? So is it their subscriber range, right? Is it their, let's just put, so sub range, I like to go 5, sub range, is it their niche? Wow, that's horrible handwriting. Niche? Is it their format of videos, so like long or short form? Format? Is it their style of videos? What is it, right? What is it in particular that you're showing, right? So I'm not, like I told you, like I'm if you look at my portfolio, for example, like for the first 2 videos that we see are last to miss. Oh, well, these are the first 2 videos. So this one's about this is just like a sort of, how do I put this, like a game series kind of video, right? And this is like a football kind of video. This is a football niche, right? This is also a football niche, but this is like a GeoGuessr video, right? So obviously no one's going to look at it and think, oh, well, he's in this niche, right? Well, there is no specific niche that I'm targeting here. I'm not looking for gaming videos. I'm not looking for Minecraft civilization videos. I'm not looking for football videos. I'm not looking for anything, right? But the common factor between my clients is their sub range, as we can see here, right? So that's what I'm going for. So in terms of niche, there is no niche. Format, well, mine's long form. I prefer to do long form. But all of the clients on my client list, they don't really pick. Some are short form, some are long form, some are both, right? And style is up to me. Style is up to me, and I'm very open with that with all of my clients. Okay? So in terms of status, I've picked sub range, right? So now any clients within the 1 million plus range will now be more likely to say yes to me, okay? Because I've shown that I've worked with clients, multiple clients with the very least 1 million subscribers, okay? So we're edging them closer to say yes, right? So you've gone through quality, you've gone through portfolio, okay? So let me just preface, when you start, so this is like starter, and this is intermediate, or I guess professional. But professional editors, or I guess you could say the pro status, well, after freelancing, people usually go to take a job, right? So I'm not going to touch into that. I'm not going to get too complicated. But essentially, when you start off, you just want to show that you've edited before. You just want to show that here's what I can do, right? We're not looking for here's what I can do. We're looking for more than that. We're not only looking for here's what I can do. Look how good I am. Look who I've worked with. Look at my achievements, right? So proof of status, on top of just the sub range or the niche or the format, we can have statistics. So before I actually move on, I want to talk about statistics. So your stats, okay? Now this is a bit tricky because a lot of people, for example, would say they have like 100 million views, or like let's say like 300 million views. I've seen a lot of people that have I've seen people with like 2 billion views, 500 million, 200, 100, 300 million. So like, let's just say like 100 to 300 million views. Right. Now, the reason why there's a problem with this is that I could take on one short form video. I could show my long form stuff, and I could have edited one short form video. And that short form video, because shorts are more likely to get more views, that short form video could go and get it could go to get 150 million views. Crazy. And it wouldn't even be up to the editing. It could just simply be up to the style of content, right? So this is like now an extra 150 million views onto my portfolio. But let's say across my entire long form career, I have 2 million views. So this is on the one short. So let's just say one short. And this is across my entire career. So this is why when somebody tells me how many views they have on their portfolio, I don't bat an eye. I don't really care, because they can have 2 million views across their entire career, and then get one huge video on their portfolio that's just banged in views, right? One short form video, and they'll say, I have 100, between like 100 and 100, let's just write 150, right? So 150 million plus views, right? And I wouldn't trust that, because where is the proof of your 100 million views, right? Where does that come from? Okay, because if these don't line up, right? Let's say, for example, we're looking at like status in general. So proof of status. Okay. So this is gonna say, let's just like write this down properly. So let's just do a client list. And this is just status, right? So this is just status, right? So why isn't this highlighting? There we go. So let's say all of your clients on your client list have between 10 to 100,000 subscribers, you know, in general. So you can have a client with 20,000, you can have one with like 35, you can have one with 6,000 subscribers. And then on the videos that you show, they could have like 10,000 views, 100,000 views, okay? 30,000 views. So now there's there's a problem, right? Your portfolio says that you're getting views like 30K, 150K, right? And then like 25K, right? So these are the views that you're getting on the videos that you show. So for example, with these videos, okay, now I've specified there's 1.2 million channel views, okay? This series has 1.3 million views. This series has 32 million views, okay? Now, some of them will obviously have like 6 million views, and I could put that, but just for the sake of A, hierarchy, and B, perception, I put down 32 million views across the entire series. Okay, do what you will with that information, but I don't mind. So let's say, for example, I had an issue where I put down, let's inspect element this, right? So let's say this video, where is it? Let's say this video gets 20,000 views, okay? This one gets 40,000 views, or 14,000 views, right? Now, if I close this, is this gonna, okay, so let's say, oh, this one, okay, let's just say, for example, I show videos with 14,000 views, and then 25,000 views, and then 30,000 views, and then 150,000 views, okay? So your status is showing me so far that you're at the like 20,000 per view stage, right? And if I'm a smaller creator and I'm looking at this editor, I'd be like, okay, I could do with some of those views, so maybe there's something that he knows, right? But here's the problem. Your career stats say that you have 150 million views. That sounds like bullshit to me. Because if the videos you're showing have 14,000 views, and then the others have 25, 30, and 150, why aren't you showing those? Why aren't you showing the videos that get millions of views on your portfolio? And then you say, oh, well, you know, it's like, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. They're short form and I don't do short form. Well, then don't advertise it. This isn't necessarily lying if you do get it on a short form, but this is very, very, very misleading. Okay? Which is already pushing them off to some trust issues, and trust is a big part, so this is going to put you all the way back here, right? And we don't want to be back there. So we want to gain their trust. We want to make it easier for them to say yes. And it won't be easy for them to say yes if you're coming off as misleading. So it is not a problem. Believe me, if you don't have hundreds of millions of views on your portfolio, like, that's okay. Like with me, I put 70 million long form views, and I'm aware that there are editors who are less experienced than me who put down 100 million, 150, 200 million views on their portfolio. But I don't care. I don't care, right? Because ultimately that's their problem, right? I know where I sit. I know where I sit with my career views. Okay? I know where I sit with all of my clients, okay? You can see here they all have like multi-million views. They all have multi-million views, right? Which is why something like 70 million isn't that hard to believe. But if you're somebody who's very new and you have like a couple 100,000 per video, don't fabricate this, or don't lie, or don't add something new, because ultimately it doesn't matter. Because anybody who does this, they're not better than you. They're not smarter than you. They're not more experienced than you. They're just making it harder for themselves, okay? Because if they're getting the same amount of views per you, like if they're getting the same amount of views as you do on the videos that they show, then they're just in a heap of trouble trying to sell themselves by saying like, oh, I have hundreds of millions of views across my entire portfolio. But then you go to your portfolio and it's just a couple thousand views. Which, again, this isn't bad. But it's going to be much harder to sell yourself when you're telling people that you have 150 million views and refuse to show the videos. Oh, but I signed an NDA. I don't care. Oh, but, you know, it's short form. It was a while ago. Oh, but I don't really like the video. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, this is about status, right? We want to show where we're at as an editor. Where we are in our career, right? So if I have 150 million views, I better have the proof to show that I've got millions upon millions in my portfolio, right? I better show that not only is this something that I have, but this is something that I can consistently do and give and provide for other creators. Okay, an editor by the name of MP39 or MP39. Okay, good man. He's a short form editor, and he has no problem showing that he gets consistent amounts of views for other creators, right? That's what makes him so trustworthy. And that's what shows his status, right? The fact that not only can he get hundreds of thousands of views or millions of views per video for creators, but he can do it over and over and over again. He doesn't need to say, I have X amount of views across my entire portfolio, okay? And even if he did, clients can believe him because they can see that he can do it on a consistent basis. Because if you can do things at a consistent basis, it means that you can do it for them. If you got lucky at a one-off, if this happened to you where you have like 2 million views or a couple 100,000 views across your entire career, and you get 150 million views off of one short, that goes to show that you either got lucky or You just worked with a creator who had such a good idea and needed you to do simple editing, right? Therefore, the editing wasn't the reason the video got so many views, meaning you weren't the reason it got so many views. Therefore, you can't advertise that as yours. And sure, if you can, and if you do, that's fine. But you gotta be able to prove that you can do this for other clients on top of this. You gotta be able to prove that this 150 million views from one short was your doing, and your ability and your knowledge, and this is something that you can apply to other clients that come to you later, right? So this applies for everyone. I don't give a shit if you've started yesterday. I don't give a shit if you started editing years ago. Point is, we want to show consistency, and that consistency shows our status, right? So for example, with my clients, you can see that I've had multiple clients, right, with over 1 million subscribers across their, across themselves, right? So you can see here, Sharky's the first one with a minimum of 1 million, and then Nico's 9 million, okay? So everything here is at a minimum of 1 million. But if I started to show creators, I've seen editors do this, if I started to show creators with 30,000 or 20,000 or 100,000 subscribers, there's some inconsistency now, right? So then maybe it wasn't really my skill that landed all those clients. Maybe it was something else. Maybe it was outsourced. Maybe this or that, right? But we don't want maybes. We don't want uncertainty with our clients, because at the end of the day, we want to get our clients closer to saying yes to us. So if they're uncertain, that doesn't push them to say yes, okay? That'll make them stay, or maybe just go back a bit. Because I don't know, can I trust this guy? Is everything he's saying legit? It's not about showing every single win you have and getting yourself ahead. It's about finding that consistency so that you can show clients that you have the skill to do it again. I got 30,000 views in a video. Cool. Do you have more videos like that? Yeah, I do. Here's 5 other videos that got a minimum of 30,000 views. Okay, well now that shows that your editing has the ability to get clients minimum of 30,000 views per video. I got 30,000 view video. Oh wow, that's great. 30,000 views per video. Did you do that with any other videos? No. Oh, well then I don't really know what to say about that, because that shows that there's no consistency there. Okay? Maybe you got lucky. Maybe it was the client that did all the work. Okay? Maybe this, maybe that. But I don't give a shit what the reason is. We can't afford to have maybes. We just want to have like clear answers. We want to make this as clear as possible, because at the end of the day, everything we show on our portfolio isn't to show off to other editors, isn't to show off that I made X amount of money in 30 days. Here's how you can do it too. A lot of people are so warped up in the mind, like they have this warped perception where they need to start appealing to other editors, right? And I get it. Like I've done that so many times, right? But now I'm at a point where I don't really need to do that, because I'm secure. I'm secure about where I am with my editing, where I am with my client list, because I've landed my dream clients. Right? I've made as much money as I really wanted to, or more than I could ever imagine, right? I'm secure, so I don't need to talk about this. I don't need to like show off, right? Everything in your portfolio isn't about showing off. It's not about bragging. It's not about saying look at what I had and what you don't have. It's about showing this is what I can do, and I can do it again. And you best fucking believe that I can do it again, right? Do you remember what I said earlier? You can get a client to pay you $100,000 per video, $1 million per video, right? It'll only make it that much harder for them to say yes to that. So if you got a client to say yes to you for a $1 million per video, then that means that you've done an insane amount of proof, an insane amount of work to show that you can get them a profit of $1 million per video, right? Of course, that sounds insane. But this, I just want to show you that this applies to all scales, right? Whether that's $10,000, $1 million, $1,000, or $100 per video, okay? Some will be easier to prove, some will be harder to prove, okay? And the only way we can prove that is via consistency. If I came to somebody and I said, I want to get paid $1,000 per video, and here's why you're going to hire me for that, and then I show my portfolio with 150 million views. Oh, but by the way, the videos that I do show, they have 20,000, 30,000, 150,000. That's not within the same range. They're gonna laugh me out the room. That's bullshit. That sounds like bullshit to me. Okay, but if you have that consistency to keep doing it again and again and again, that's status, right? This is where you're at editing. This is your status, right? So if you have clients with a certain amount of subscribers, if you have a certain amount of views across your portfolio, that, by the way, needs to look like it matches up with this. So if you have 2 million views across your entire career and 150 million views from one short, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to forget about this short, right? You're gonna have to say, I don't care, because at the end of the day, if I can't do that again, if I can't do that for other clients, then, you know, what good does it show being on my portfolio? You might as well stick with the 2 million views across your entire career until you can actually prove that you can get 150 million views or somewhere in that range for other creators, right? But until then, I wouldn't really give a shit about 150 million views per video. You know, if you can't do it again, right? Because again, all of this is simply just to try to get them to say yes easier. We need to make it easier for them to say yes to us. And if it's difficult, well, then they're not really going to say yes now, are they? Right? So you're getting them to say yes isn't about like lowering your price, because believe me, I understand how tempting that may be, but it's not about lowering your price. It's about showing that you're worth the price. Okay? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much they pay you. Paying full stop is what's stopping them from hiring you. Okay? The amount that they have to pay you is just makes it worse. Okay? It makes it even worse. It makes them want to say no even more. But it doesn't matter, because everything that we have, so quality, portfolio, so portfolio goes on to statistics and everything else, right? Momentum. Here's another one. I guess I could just say Twitter. Yeah, Twitter. Right. Let's just go for Twitter, or branding. So branding is pretty kind of comes into play here, like your Twitter branding, because if you aren't aware, the best way to land clients is via Twitter, right? So branding. But anyways, everything here that builds the perception for our clients, builds the perception that this guy can get me the results. Or maybe if it was the other way around, oh, this guy can get me fuck all results and I'm not hiring him, right? But obviously we don't want that. We want them to say, yes, look at this guy. This is my guy. This is the editor that I'm hiring, right? We want to get them to say yes. We want to get them to say yes, right? So branding. What else about branding, right? Well, there's something called momentum that I want to talk about very quickly. I don't know if I have any unfinished points, but let me just quickly move on to momentum. What is momentum? Career momentum. Well, let's put it this way. The one thing that's most important when it comes to your branding, when it comes to your Twitter, is simply just posting. Because posting means that you are still available for work. You're still working as an editor. That's basically it. That's the one thing we need to know most. So if you're not posting, it shows that you're probably not open for work. Okay? Momentum. How else can we show momentum though? Well, there is quality of work. Where is it? Quality of work, right? So for example, here's a mistake that I see with a lot of editors. Not really a mistake, but more so a choice that they make that could possibly hold them back. People will post far too frequently. And you know how if a creator posts daily, that means the quality is reduced and the quantity goes up. But if a creator is posting monthly, then the quality goes up and the quantity goes down, because they have to post monthly. They have to put more time and effort into one video that goes out every month. Okay? Cool. So it kind of works the same with you. If you're posting a new preview weekly, right? that doesn't really show much improvement. That if anything, that shows that the sort of level that you're at, the status, right? It shows your level. And if you're not improving with every single video, which is kind of hard to do, then you're going to get clients, sure, but you're not going to get any better clients. You're not going to get any higher paying clients. So with me, when I was an editor, not when I was an editor, when I was posting my editing way back when I was constantly looking for clients, let's look at like how often I'd post. So instead of posting weekly, my first post, well, at least the first post that you could see is on May 21st, 2022. The next one is on July. Different month. So I went from May, June, July to post my next. So in about two months, it took me to post again. So why didn't I post? Why didn't I post between this? Was it because I wasn't getting any clients? No. Was it because I wasn't finishing any of the commissions that I was getting? No. Then what was it? Well, the reason why I would post every 2 to 3 months, so I'm not saying this is a choice, but you can do whatever you want. So 2 to 3 months. The reason why I made this choice was because of quality. Work quality. If clients would come to my page and pick up the pattern that I hadn't posted in a while, they could look at the post before that. So let's say this is my most recent post, October. Okay, this guy hasn't posted since October. Is he quit? Does he not work anymore? Well, let's see his last post. Oh, July. Oh, okay, so July, August, September, October. So about 3-4 months it took him to post again, which means he probably hasn't quit. It just means that it's taking him a couple months to post the next thing. So I'm sure he's still editing, right? So then what does quality have to do with this? When it comes to landing clients, when it comes to just editing in general, my main focus, my main goal was just improve at editing, get better, get your skill up, and try to raise your prices. The two things that I wanted. And the only way that I could raise my prices is if it was evident that I was getting better at editing, right? So if my quality was going up, let's make a graph here. So quality, yeah. So quality and price. My price could only go up if my quality was going up. So if it was evident, like clear. So let's just say if it was clear to clients, if it was clear to anybody coming to my profile that I was getting better, that my quality was going up, that would allow for bigger prices. Okay? So if I posted weekly, I wasn't really showing that I was improving, because it's very difficult to improve by editing and posting every single week. It is very difficult to show that. I wanted to make it evident. I wanted to make it clear as possible to people that I would go from leaving in glitches to my videos to making something much better, using After Effects text, and then using content aware fill, right? Learning something new, and then creating character animations, trying to go for like a parallax effect. Okay, so then like using After Effects and then applying more After Effects, rotoscoping, more After Effects text, glitch effects, ricochet effects, like just a bunch of things, right? I wanted to make it obvious that somebody could go on my page and say, yes, this is better than this, or this is even better than this, right? I wanted to make it evident that my quality was going up. Where is the quality? Yeah, my quality was always going up, right? So the way that I could charge higher prices via every single client was to show that my quality was getting better. And I could only do that if I was posting every 2 to 3 months. So if I edited a video and I look back at it and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't really look that much better. Then don't post it. I wouldn't post it because I would look at my work and go like, that doesn't really seem as good as my last one, or it doesn't really seem too much better than my last one. But if I feel pride with the work that I've completed, if I look at it and I say like, yeah, this is good. If I look at it and I go, oh, I fucking love this, right? This is new pride that I'm feeling because I've never made something as good as this before, which means it's time to post. It's time to post this. So every few months, when I felt like it was appropriate, I would post something that was evidently better than the last post, right? So May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, right? December, January, February, March. And then March, April, May, June, July. Fucking hell. Between March and July, I hadn't posted, right? Do you know how crazy that is? And this, where is it? This is evidently better than this. Evidently better. And that's the goal, right? So if you're posting weekly, you're not really showing that you're getting better. You're cementing yourself, right? You're sort of cementing yourself at a certain level, which isn't really the worst thing because it attracts more clients. So the thing is with more clients, here's the thing: you get more clients with weekly posts. So here's what you got to think about what you want here. So more clients with more frequency, better clients. You've got to think about what you want here, right? So let's not even write 2 to 3 months in weekly, right? Because that's too specific, right? So let's just say work quantity / frequency. Right, work quality. There we go. Oh, I can't be asked. There we go, work quality. So, the quality in your work and having to post every couple months and posting less frequent. So, in fact, we could put it however we want, right? Let's do this another way, just in case you don't understand it this way. So, yeah, this gonna go with this, right? So this is just more frequent posting, less frequent okay. So you can put it however you want, right? So let's just move this here and move this here. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, whatever, right? Like at this point, whatever. Okay. Oh, that is a fucking problem. All right, whatever. So point is, if we're posting more frequently and we're posting with not less quality, but if we're not prioritizing quality, then we're going to get more clients. So more frequently, I just have to get this done, right? So more frequently. Right. So more frequently Ah, son of a bitch. No. So work quantity. So the amount that you post and posting more often, obviously. So these are the same thing. Gets you more clients. I can just delete this really. So more clients, right? But focusing on quality. Focusing on quality and posting less will get you better clients. So you got to think about what you want here. Do you want more clients or do you want better clients? Do you want to scale or do you want to just do more work? I will recommend and I will tell you that getting better clients is better. And here's why. Your work, your quality, your skill is scalable. So when it comes to scalability, skill outweighs time. Oh, because at the end of the day, everybody has 24 hours in a day. Everyone has 7 days in a week, right? You can't change that. You can't change time, but you can change your skill. So if you want to get paid more, don't do it by taking on 100 commissions a month. Take it by taking less commissions a month, but with better editing, right? Because now this will invite better clients. So when people can see that you're getting better every single, what seems like every single post, right? Then they're going to assume that, okay, he's probably going to do better with me, right? We want to show that we're not only good, but we're getting better, right? So work quality and posting less frequently will do this. Okay, so this isn't about like purposely like posting less. We post less because we focus on quality. So you do not post until you genuinely feel pride with a project that you can just tell is better than the last one, right? But if you want to get more clients, you can post whatever. I could post something that I have posts that I haven't posted back in 2022 or 2023 or even this year. I can put that to my Twitter right now and say I want a client now. But you know, I don't do it for a reason because I only like to post when I feel like I've seriously outdone myself in order to get better clients. But right now clients aren't my main concern. But you know, that's besides the point. So we can see here that as your quality goes up, your price goes up. And quality can go up, but time cannot. You can put more time into the day, but the day cannot have like more hours. You can't extend your day by more. Time doesn't change. Time does time does not change, but quality can change. You can get better. So if I were you, I'd focus on getting better clients and making better work than trying to get more clients and stack up more clients to then make however much you want to make, whether that's 1,000 a month or 500 a month or 10,000 a month or whatever it is. You're going to do it by getting better clients and editing with better work because you're better quality than by stacking clients, right? And this is how we show our momentum. Is that really how that just feels so weird. Okay? So yeah. All of this is to just make it easier. So here's the thing. At the end of the day, we're just making it easier for our clients to say yes. It's not about taking them from a no, switching it to a yes. It's about just making it easier for them to say yes. Right? We want to show, so when it comes to results, okay, when it comes to pay, we're going to show that we're worth it. We're worth the money. Okay? So if they make, and I'll get into that later. So reliability, how can I tell that you're reliable? Okay, well, let's see here. Well, when it comes to my client list, all of them have X amount of subscribers at the very minimum, meaning that they've put their trust in me and it's paid off. And this hasn't happened on one case. This is with many, like for example, with me. Look, 4 million, 1 million, 9 million, 3 million, 7 million. That can't just be a coincidence. That just genuinely means that all of them have put their trust into me and it's paid off. Otherwise, people will start saying that I'm unreliable. Okay, well, you seem reliable. Now, what about results? Can you get me the results? It's not about I got 150 million views because of some short. It's about the fact that I've done that on multiple occasions, right? There have been multiple times where I've gotten X amount of views on a video. So whether they're looking to get over 10,000 views per video, or whether they're looking to get over 5,000 views per video, or 1 million, whatever the number is, it's not about how many views. It's about, can you do that often? Can you get a consistent number of views? So yeah, I've gotten 25,000 on this one. I've gotten 30,000 on this one. I've got 150,000 on this one. And I can keep doing that. Okay, so that takes results. That takes results. Okay, now the pay is just an accumulation of everything, because at the end of the day, they want to know if you're worth it. Can you get me the views? I just want to see if this pays off. So when they make their money from AdSense, okay, they got to know that whatever they pay you is going to be less than what they make from a video, and because obviously they need to make profit, and B, they want to know if you can get me more views, which then makes me more money per videos, right? That's what the pay is about. So when I tell somebody, okay, my price is 2,000 per video, I gotta fucking prove it to them that I'll be worth 2,000 per video. Reliability. How many clients have you worked with? What, are the clients in a certain niche? And if they're in the same niche as me, I could probably go ask them, see what they think of you. Okay, well, if it's not in the same niche, then let's just see like how many subscribers they have, because there's no way somebody with like 10 million subscribers or 1 million subscribers can hire somebody who's unreliable, right? We just gotta we just gotta prove it to them, right? And we don't prove it by saying, I will get you the views, I will get you X amount on pay on results basis. If somebody says you pay on results basis, then they probably cannot get it to you. Unless they're like very established, they probably can't get it to you. Okay? Because I can tell if somebody's going to get me the results just by looking at their work, their portfolio, their everything about them. I can do a quick check on them to see if they seem legit, right? But if you're telling me that you're legit, I don't believe you. I need to see it with my own eyes. Okay? So, our job, everything that we do in terms of editing, isn't from switching it. We just got to make it easier for them to say yes. Make it easier. Okay? So yeah. That's about it. So if a client tells you, I can pay you 500 per video, and then you say, 700, they'll probably say no, because it's out of budget, but it'll only make it that much harder for them to say yes. That doesn't mean it's a complete no. It just means that you have to do extra work into showing them that you're worth 700 per video. If you can convince them that you're worth 700 per video, cool, right? Yeah, that's about it. Bye.